Most of the summer in the courtroom, Teresa Barrett Bond listened as the prosecution described the death of her father, Arthur Bucky Barrett, who was robbed and tortured before being shot. The jury agreed Bulger was responsible for the murder, but Bond says others should be held accountable as well. Teresa Barrett Bond is here along with her son, Alec. Welcome. You've got to be encouraged by what you heard from Janet Ular. She was the kind of,
yes.
She feels the way you do about
Absolutely.
this, that the government is still should be held accountable.
I'm very proud of that testimony that she just gave, because she's right on the button.
There has been some criticism of the jury. I'm sure you've seen it. You know, what took them so long, and why didn't they find everybody guilty? But when you listen to that reasoned argument for how they did and how they didn't come to those conclusions, it makes sense.
Right. Well, I think a lot of people that said negative things that way were kind of ignorant to what was really behind what was taking them so long. I didn't feel that way. I was confident they were doing the right thing, taking their time, and they were being fair. So I was thankful that they took their time, because it was just showing that they were really digging deep into things that were hidden.
Now, you were very young when your father was murdered. Were you aware at the time that it was gang-related, that it was possibly Whitey Bulger was behind it? How much did you know? Well,
I was 20. And I didn't know a lot, but my father, he did, let us know at Thanksgiving in '82 that there was some bad men out there that might try to hurt him, and he just wanted to let us know that we would be safe. So I, of course, reacted with tears, because we loved him, and we got worried because he never showed fear or stress or concern. He was always calm, cool, and collected. So that was a concern that day when he said he could be hurt by some really bad men.
Did you know at the time that he was also involved in some crime and corruption himself?
I did. I always viewed my dad as like a Robin Hood, because at a young age, his dad was murdered, and he had to learn how to fend for his family. And I don't believe that he did things that he wanted to do, and he didn't get into it as deep as I thought he had.
Did you know he had robbed that bank?
I knew he had robbed the bank, yes, I did.
How did you know?
My mom told me, and my dad told me. They told us all. And there was another incident that involved stamps that he was involved with, and he did let us know that as well. And also regarding the Whitey Bulger, knowing whether he was involved with my dad, I didn't know anything about Whitey Bulger until my father was missing in July of '83, and John Morris came to comfort my stepmother, Elaine Barrett, and myself and my brother Johnny, in letting us know that the big man, Whitey Bulger, wants you to know he had nothing to do with your father's disappearance. And we were like, oh, phew.
And obviously John Morris knew all along that that wasn't the case.
Yes, all along he knew.
Alec, what's this been like for you? Because you never knew your grandfather. What was it like being in court and listening to this? I mean, you're a lot younger. All this stuff happened before you were born.
It was very disappointing, knowing that the government and the FBI were involved like they were. But then again, it was big. It was good to see it. History in the making at my age. But to see the background of what happened.
Did you know that before you went to trial? Did you know anything about that?
I didn't.
Yeah.
I didn't know nothing about it until I seen it happen in court.
Yeah. Did you know the details yourself, Teresa? Have you read all the books and have you been following?
No, it's a little painful. There was a book that I had read, and it went into a little bit of my father hours before he was murdered, that he was praying at the table, and he had his wallet open to a picture of a little girl. That was me. I was his only little girl, and that was just blessed my heart. And that's all I've ever read. I never really got into all the readings of the books, and it's painstaking. So no, I really haven't spent the time devoting my time to.
Did you know all the details that came out in trial today, that they'd taken him down in this basement and
Yes, I know.
tied him up.
Yes,
and
I know.
Then they went into his house and robbed him.
Yes.
So were you all not home when he?
Oh no, I was nannying my father's 2 new boys, and I knew, you know, he had asked Elaine to leave the house. She had told me.
So he knew that Whitey was going to go to your house and take the money.
I knew. I didn't know.
No, but your mother knew.
Well, she knew that somebody was making him. My father had called Elaine and said, you know, you need to leave the house. And Elaine said he did not sound right. He sounded like he had muffled in his voice. So I don't believe she knew it was Whitey Bulger either. Because we all found comfort together that when we were told by John Morris that Whitey Bulger did not kill my father, we actually felt like there was a hope that he was alive. We couldn't figure out why he didn't come home, because he would never not come home. It was, we were puzzled, but we had some hope.
When did you actually find out for sure that he was dead?
When his body was
In 2000?
unburied, yes.
So 20 years after?
Yes.
Some 20 years after? You didn't know for sure until then?
Well, we knew really that he was not alive, but we didn't know anything. We didn't know anything else.
You heard juror Janet Lauren, you did too, Alec, talk about Kevin Weeks and Stephen Flemmi and John Maturano and these deals that these guys cut, you know, 1 year per death. No, not in Flemmi's case. He's still. Does that burn you too?
Yes, it absolutely does. It absolutely does. When I went to that trial, every single day, it was only to put a face on a man and to bear witness on the character that my father had instilled in me because of the character he demonstrated himself and modeled. I knew Whitey Bulger had killed my father. James Bulger never portrayed to be anything but a killer. But the FBI were more than involved with my father's death by allowing him to rule the streets. What was their excuse? What is their excuse? Yeah, I am extremely determined to make this trial count as the trial of the century for something, if it's just one voice, and make it count through all that need to be held accountable. Boston FBI office, Miami FBI, and Washington, D.C. I have been enlightened by the testimony of FBI agent Fitzpatrick, of the lengths he went to make his voice known about the corruption that was going on, and that was ignored. Yes, I will do my best to make this trial count for the century of the year and try to expose or make accountable who should be accountable. And to think that my children could be walking the streets or in the stores with killers such as Weeks and Maturano just blows my mind with fear for what the government will go and do and the lengths that they will go through to protect and continue to protect their hidden secrets.
Yeah. Well, Alec, on that, I mean, we are all, you know, led to believe that we should revere the FBI. You know, they're the top cops in the nation, other than the CIA and the Secret Service, and you know, they're supposedly smoking out, you know, corruption in the name of law and order for all of America. Do you feel cynical about it, bitter?
Not really, no.
If ever we have a time and an opportunity to make our voices be heard, where everybody's ear is bent towards the corruption,
What can you do? I mean, you look at this, even what happened with the Tsarnaev case. I mean, the FBI shot and killed an unarmed man. Will we ever know what happened in that case?
I think people are tired.
Is there anybody who's going to hold them accountable?
Us people, us. Individuals that are willing to step up and even file lawsuits, $100 million each FBI unit, until we get their attention. Just like the mortgage crises. Nobody would listen when these people were having their homes taken away. But finally, their voices were heard and something was done. If ever we have a time to try to make people accountable for what they've done, it's now. We can't let that slip by. And if I have to be one voice and gather up the victims and my family to keep on going and pressing on to make these companies accountable for allowing these FBI agents to do what they've done for money, we're not doing our children and our country any justice by just going with the flow and just say, oh, you know, well, what can we do? Nothing's been done before.
All right. Well, good luck to you, and I really appreciate you coming on tonight.
Thank you. Thank you
Teresa
very
Bond
much.
and Alec.